Chapter 1: The Golden Jubilee. The sun was setting over the rolling hills of Tuscany as Henry and Emily sat on their patio, holding hands and reminiscing about the past. Their eyes sparkled with nostalgia as they gazed out at the vineyards that had once been a verdant expanse of uncertainty. "Can you believe it's been 50 years?" Emily asked, her voice trembling with emotion. Henry squeezed her hand. "Not a day has passed without thinking about you, my love." As they celebrated their golden anniversary, the couple couldn't help but revisit the memories that had filled their 5 decades together. The first spark of attraction in college, the whirlwind romance, the early years of building a life together, all these moments replayed like a cinematic montage in their minds. The scent of fresh lavender wafted through the air as they reminisced about their youth. Henry recalled the way Emily's hair had shimmered in the sunlight during their first picnic. Emily remembered the way Henry's eyes had crinkled at the corners when he smiled, making her feel like she was the only person in the world. As they sat together, a gentle breeze rustling the leaves of the nearby olive tree, they both felt an unmistakable tingle. It was as if the years had melted away, leaving them poised on the threshold of their first love, the same passion that had driven them to build a life together so many years ago. Henry's eyes locked onto Emily's, and he whispered, "Do you remember our first kiss?" Emily's cheeks flushed, and she smiled mischievously. "How could I forget? It was like the whole world had stopped spinning, and all that mattered was us." As they leaned in, their lips almost touching, the air seemed to vibrate with anticipation. The world around them melted away, leaving only the two of them, lost in the intoxicating haze of their youth. And then, just as their lips were about to meet, Henry stopped, his eyes sparkling with mischief. "You know what I've always wanted to do?" Emily's curiosity was piqued. "What's that?" Henry grinned, his eyes dancing with excitement. "I want to relive our entire courtship, all the stolen glances, the whispered promises, and the midnight strolls under the stars." Emily's face lit up like a sunflower. "Oh, Henry, I think we're about to embark on the most romantic adventure of our lives." As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm orange glow over the vineyards, Henry and Emily knew that their golden anniversary was only the beginning of a new chapter in their love story, one filled with passion, romance, and a renewed appreciation for life and each other. Chapter 2: The Art of Falling. Henry and Emily decided to recreate their first date, just as they had planned it all those years ago. They put on their best attire, Henry in his favorite suit, Emily in a stunning red dress, and set off into the evening. Their destination was the same quaint Italian restaurant where they had shared their first meal together. As they walked in, the aroma of freshly baked bread enveloped them, transporting them back to that fateful night. The maitre d', a familiar face from their past, greeted them with a warm smile and led them to their favorite table by the window. Henry pulled out Emily's chair, just as he had all those years ago, and helped her settle in. Over a leisurely dinner of antipasto and risotto, they relived the moments that had defined their early years together. They laughed about the time Henry had accidentally spilled spaghetti sauce on Emily's dress during their first date, and reminisced about the way they had danced under the stars at their first prom. As they sipped their espresso, Henry reached across the table and took Emily's hand. "You know what I've always loved about you?" he asked, his eyes sparkling with affection. "What's that?" Emily replied, her voice barely above a whisper. "You make me feel like I'm falling," Henry said, his voice low and husky. "Like I'm floating on air, without a care in the world. You're my safety net, Emily, my partner in every sense of the word." Emily's eyes welled up with tears as she looked at her husband. "You do the same for me, Henry. You make me feel like I can conquer the world, side by side with you." As they sat there, hands clasped and hearts full, it was clear that the art of falling, of surrendering to love and trust, had never faded for them. In fact, it seemed to have only deepened with time. The evening wore on with Henry and Emily lost in their own little world. They talked about their children, now grown and flown, and shared stories about their grandkids, who were the lights of their lives. As they finished their meal and prepared to leave, Henry turned to Emily and said, "You know what I want to do next?" "What's that?" Emily asked, her curiosity piqued. Henry grinned mischievously. I want to recreate our first kiss." Emily's eyes sparkled with excitement as she nodded. "Oh, Henry, I think we're in for a very romantic night indeed." And with that, they stepped out into the starry night, ready to relive another chapter of their love story, one filled with passion, romance, and the thrill of rediscovery. Chapter 3: A Midnight Stroll. Henry and Emily walked hand in hand through the quiet streets of their hometown, the stars twinkling above like diamonds scattered across the velvet sky. The air was filled with the sweet scent of blooming jasmine, transporting them back to the romantic nights of their youth. As they strolled, Henry pointed out landmarks from their past: the park where they had shared a first date, the ice cream parlor where they had celebrated milestones, and the library where they had spent countless hours lost in each other's eyes. Emily's heart swelled with nostalgia as she relived those memories. She remembered the way Henry's eyes would sparkle like fireflies on a summer night, and how his smile could light up an entire room. As they walked, Henry took Emily's hand and guided her to a secluded alleyway, reminiscent of their first midnight stroll together. The air was thick with anticipation as they gazed into each other's eyes, the world around them melting away like mist in the morning sun. Henry leaned in, his lips brushing against Emily's ear. "Do you remember how we used to sneak out at night and explore the town?" Emily's laughter was husky with memories. "How could I forget? Those were some of the most magical nights of my life." Henry smiled mischievously. "Well, I think it's time for a midnight adventure once more." And with that, he wrapped his arms around Emily, pulling her close as they danced under the stars. The world was theirs for the taking, and in each other's eyes they saw a love that had only grown stronger with the passing of time. As the night wore on, Henry and Emily found themselves back at their starting point, the same patio where they had sat earlier that evening. But this time, it was as if they were seeing the world through new eyes, eyes that had been reopened to the beauty and wonder of their love. Henry pulled out a small box from his pocket, his hands shaking with excitement. Emily's eyes widened in anticipation as he opened the lid, revealing a stunning diamond necklace. "For my golden anniversary," Henry whispered, his voice trembling with emotion. "A reminder that our love is as timeless as the stars above." Emily's tears of joy mingled with the night air as she wrapped her arms around Henry, the necklace glinting like a beacon in the darkness. In this moment, they knew that their love would continue to shine bright for many years to come, a golden thread weaving together the tapestry of their lives. Chapter 4: The Art of Rekindling. Henry and Emily spent the next few days rekindling the flames of their youth. They took long walks, had candlelit dinners, and relived old memories like they were new again. One evening, Henry surprised Emily with a romantic getaway to a secluded bed and breakfast in the countryside. As they drove through the rolling hills and lush forests, Emily felt her heart skipping beats with excitement. The B&B was a charming little cottage surrounded by a garden filled with blooming flowers and towering trees. Henry had booked the entire place for them, leaving nothing but the sound of birdsong to disturb their peace. As they settled in, Henry pulled out a small, leather-bound book from his backpack. "I found this old journal we used to keep during our courtship," he said, his eyes twinkling with mischief. "I thought it would be fun to relive those moments again." Emily's face lit up like a sunrise as she flipped through the pages, filled with handwritten notes and sketches of their early days together. As they read aloud from the journal, they found themselves transported back to that whirlwind romance, the laughter, the tears, and the whispers in the dark. One entry in particular caught Emily's eye, a poem Henry had written for her on their 1-year anniversary. The words were like honey dripping into her soul, filling her with warmth and longing. As they read the final lines together, Henry took Emily's hand, his eyes burning with intensity. "I want to relive that passion again," he whispered, his voice a gentle breeze rustling the leaves of their memories. Emily nodded, her heart beating like a drum roll in her chest. She knew exactly what he meant, to recapture the thrill and excitement of their early days together, when every moment felt like a precious gift. And so they spent the next few days rekindling that spark, laughing, loving, and making new memories together. The world around them melted away like mist in the morning sun, leaving only the two of them, lost in each other's eyes and found in their own private paradise. As they sat on the porch of the B&B, watching the stars twinkling above, Henry turned to Emily with a mischievous grin. "I have one more surprise for you," he said, his voice low and husky. Emily's heart skipped another beat as she raised an eyebrow, her mind racing with possibilities. But before she could ask what it was, Henry had already pulled out a small velvet box from his pocket, adorned with a delicate silver filigree. "For my golden anniversary," he whispered, his eyes shining like diamonds in the moonlight. "A gift to remember our love by, and to remind you that I will always be yours." And with that, Henry opened the box, revealing a stunning diamond ring, its beauty taking Emily's breath away. The world around them melted away once more, leaving only the two of them, lost in each other's eyes and found in their own private paradise. Chapter 5. The Gift of Memory. Emily's eyes widened as she gazed at the diamond ring, her heart overflowing with emotion. She had never seen anything so beautiful, so breathtakingly perfect. Henry took her hand, his eyes shining with love and devotion. "I want you to have this," he said, his voice low and husky, "a reminder of our love, of our memories, and of the journey we've shared together." As Emily's fingers closed around the ring, she felt a surge of nostalgia wash over her. She remembered the countless moments they had shared, the laughter, the tears, the whispers in the dark. "This is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen," she whispered, her voice trembling with emotion. Henry smiled, his eyes crinkling at the corners. "I wanted it to be special," he said, "a symbol of our love, of our journey together." As they sat there, lost in each other's eyes, Emily felt like she was drowning in a sea of memories. She remembered their first kiss, their first dance, their first love letter. Henry wrapped his arms around her, pulling her close as he whispered sweet nothings in her ear. "You are the gift that keeps on giving," he said, "a reminder of our love, of our journey together." As they hugged each other tightly, Emily felt like she was home. She knew that this ring would be a symbol of their love, of their memories, and of the journey they had shared together. The next morning, Henry took Emily to their favorite spot in the city, a small park with a beautiful lake and walking trails. He had planned a surprise picnic for them, complete with their favorite food and drinks. As they sat down on the blanket, Emily felt like she was reliving old memories all over again. She remembered the countless picnics they had shared together, the laughter, the tears, the whispers in the dark. Henry pulled out a small box from his backpack and handed it to Emily. "Open this," he said, his eyes shining with excitement. Emily's heart skipped another beat as she opened the box. Inside, she found a beautiful photo album filled with pictures of their journey together, their first date, their wedding day, their children growing up. As she flipped through the pages, Emily felt like she was reliving old memories all over again. She remembered the countless moments they had shared together, the laughter, the tears, the whispers in the dark. Henry wrapped his arms around her, pulling her close as he whispered sweet nothings in her ear. "You are my everything," he said. "My best friend, my soulmate, my partner in every sense of the word." As they hugged each other tightly, Emily felt like she was home. She knew that this ring would be a symbol of their love, of their memories, and of the journey they had shared together. And so they sat there, lost in each other's eyes, surrounded by the beauty of nature, with the photo album as a reminder of their love, of their journey together. Chapter 6. The Gift of Time. As Henry and Emily sat on the blanket, flipping through the pages of the photo album, they couldn't help but feel grateful for the time they had shared together. "I'm so grateful for every moment we've had," Emily said, her voice filled with emotion. "Every laugh, every tear, every whisper in the dark." Henry nodded, his eyes shining with agreement. "Me too," he said. "I wouldn't trade our life together for anything in the world." As they sat there, lost in their own little world of memories and love, Emily turned to Henry with a mischievous glint in her eye. "You know what I've always wanted?" she asked, her voice husky with desire. "What's that?" Henry asked, his eyes narrowing with curiosity. "A chance to relive our favorite moments," Emily said. "To go back in time and experience it all again." Henry's eyes lit up with excitement. "That sounds amazing," he said. "Let's do it." And so they did. They spent the rest of the day reliving their favorite memories, from their first date to their wedding day, from the birth of their children to the countless adventures they had shared together. As the sun began to set, Henry and Emily sat on the blanket once more, this time with a newfound appreciation for the gift of time. "You know what I've learned?" Emily asked, her voice filled with wisdom. "What's that?" Henry asked, his eyes curious. "That every moment is precious." Emily said, "Every laugh, every tear, every whisper in the dark. We have to cherish it all, because we never know when our time will run out." Henry nodded, his eyes shining with understanding. "You're right," he said. "We have to make the most of every moment we have together." And so they did. They spent the rest of their lives making the most of every moment, cherishing every laugh, every tear, every whisper in the dark. Years went by, and Henry and Emily grew old together. But even as their bodies began to fail them, their love remained strong, a flame that burned bright and true. And so they sat on the blanket one last time, their eyes shining with a love that had never dimmed. "I'm grateful for every moment we've had," Emily said, her voice weak but full of emotion. Henry nodded, his eyes shining with agreement. "Me too," he said. "I wouldn't trade our life together for anything in the world." And with that, Henry and Emily's love story came to an end. But even as they passed on to the next great adventure, their love remained strong, a flame that would burn bright and true forevermore. The end.